You won't believe what happened in the early hours of Saturday morning on the Nairobi-Nakuru highway. A white Mercedes Benz traveling at high speed, a massive passenger bus, and in the wreckage, one of Kenya's most controversial politicians, former Lugari MP Cyrus Jirongo, dead at the scene. But here is where it gets even more shocking. The CCTV footage captured everything, and what investigators found raises more questions than answers. Stick around because what I'm about to reveal about the final moments, the bus driver's accounts, and the mysteries surrounding this crash will leave you absolutely stunned. It was supposed to be just another quiet Friday night turning into Saturday morning. The Nairobi-Nakuru highway, one of Kenya's busiest corridors, lays relatively quiet at approximately 2:15 a.m. on December 13th, 2025, but what happened next sent shockwaves across the entire nation. Former Lugari MP Cyrus Jirongo, driving alone in his white Mercedes Benz E350, pulled into Eagle petrol station in Karai, Naivasha. He was heading towards Nairobi, but something strange happened here, something that would seal his fate. According to eyewitnesses at the station, Jirongo drove into the petrol station but did not fuel his vehicle. Think about that for a moment. Why will someone pull into a petrol station at 2 in the morning and not get fuel? What was he doing there? CCTV footage shows Jirongo drove into the petrol station from the Nairobi direction. The cameras captured every moment, every decision, and every second that led to the catastrophe. But that is not all. Wait until you see what happened next. At 2:19 a.m., his vehicle stopped briefly at the station's exit. Was he making a phone call? Was he checking something? Was someone following him? The questions pile up like the wreckage that will soon litter the highway. And then at exactly 2:19 a.m., the footage captured Jirongo making a right turn back towards the Nairobi direction. But here is the critical detail that investigators are still trying to understand. When he rejoined the highway, he continued driving in the lane used by oncoming traffic, vehicles traveling from Nairobi towards Nakuru. 6 seconds, and that is all it took. Just 6 seconds after making that fatal turn, at 2:19 a.m., the footage captured a PSV bus ramming into his vehicle. The impact was devastating and absolutely catastrophic. A petrol station attendant who was on duty that night and witnessed everything described the moment a loud bang was heard and Jirongo's Mercedes Benz had collided head-on with a bus belonging to Climax Company that was traveling from Nairobi towards Nakuru. The force of the collision was so massive that it pushed Jirongo's vehicle roughly 25 meters from the impact point. 25 meters, and that is the length of a swimming pool. Imagine the force, the violence, and the absolute terror of those final seconds. After the head-on collision, the Mercedes-Benz was dragged several meters from the point of impact before the bus eventually stopped. The scene was one of absolute chaos. Twisted metal, shattered glass, smoke billowing into the early morning sky. The attendant rushed to help. He sprinted across the highway, his heart pounding, hoping against hope that somehow someone had survived. He tried to open the car door, but it was locked. Desperate, he peered through the window, and what he saw would haunt him forever. When he looked inside, he saw Jirongo slumped over the steering wheel, facing downwards, with blood visible on his head. There was no movement, no sound, just the deafening silence of death. The politician sustained serious head injuries, leading to his instant death, and according to police, at 64 years old, one of Kenya's most flamboyant and controversial politicians, a man who had danced with presidents and defied political gravity for decades, was gone in an instant. Now, you might be wondering, what about the bus driver? What did he see? What does he have to say about the final fatal seconds? Well, his account is absolutely chilling and reveals crucial details about what really happened on that dark highway. Cyrus Kamau Githinji, the driver, has more than 8 years experience and was ferrying 65 passengers that morning. 65 lives in his hands, 65 people who boarded that bus thinking it would be just another routine journey to Busia. Kamau's testimony provides critical insight into the collision. He said that the Mercedes Benz was heading towards Nairobi and that shortly before the accident, there was light traffic in his lane. Now this detail is crucial. There was traffic, other vehicles, other witnesses, and according to Kamau, Jirongo's car suddenly appeared in his lane moments before the crash. Can you imagine this? You're driving a bus full of passengers. It is in the middle of the night and suddenly headlights appear directly in your path. You have maybe 1, 2 or 3 seconds to react. The driver explained. The driver of the Mercedes Benz attempted to overtake after leaving the petrol station and swerved into my lane, causing the collision. But here is where the story gets even more complex, even more tragic. Kamau said that Jirongo attempted to overtake and veered into his lane, leading to the collision. The question that haunts investigators: overtake what? If Jirongo was heading to Nairobi, what vehicle was he trying to overtake when he ended up in the wrong lane? The bus driver found himself in an impossible situation, a split-second decision that will determine whether he lived or died, whether his 65 passengers lived or died. And according to reports, Kamau stated he made a split-second decision to maintain his course to avoid overturning the fully loaded bus and risking the lives of his passengers. Think about the weight of that decision: swerve and potentially roll a bus carrying 65 people, or hold steady and hope the other driver corrects his course. These are the kinds of decisions that change lives forever, that replay in your mind for years afterward. The bus driver said he was on a scheduled trip from Nairobi to Busia carrying 65 passengers, and when the crash occurred shortly after dawn hadn't even broken, the sun hadn't risen, already tragedy had struck. Detectives have interrogated the driver, identified as Cyrus Kamau Githinji, who had earlier recorded a statement at the Naivasha traffic base. He has been cooperating fully with investigators, but he too is traumatized by what he witnessed, by what he couldn't prevent. The driver has been released on a cash bail, pending further investigations into the offense of causing death by dangerous driving. Now you might ask, is that fair? Should he be charged? He was in his lane, he was following traffic rules, but the law demands thorough investigation, and he was required to report to the Naivasha traffic base on December 22nd, 2025 for further police attention. The passengers on the bus, they were witnesses too. Several bus passengers sustained injuries and were rushed to nearby hospitals in Naivasha, some with broken bones, others with cuts and bruises, all of them traumatized by what they experienced. But here is the crucial question that investigators are still trying to answer. Could this accident have been prevented? Were there warning signs, and why did Cyrus Jirongo make the decision he made in those final moments?